As mountain biking's popularity continues to grow on the Front Range, bike shops and trail centers are getting easier to find. My biggest gripe with this area, though, is that there isn't a lot of trail variation. As you can see, we have lots of dust, rocks, and all-natural features. This is the quite opposite of Washington and British Columbia, or as the mountain bike community calls it, the North Shore. The North Shore only gets about half the amount of sun that Colorado does. This, along with getting much more rain, makes the environment very different than ours. When building trails in the North Shore, you often need to circumvent the terrain because of fallen trees and extremely lush vegetation. Builders often accomplish this by making bridges and other wooden structures. This type of trail is exclusive to the North Shore and is not needed in most any other places. While we don't need it here by any means, the features are very fun to ride, so I thought I'd bring a little taste to the Front Range. I don't have all the time in the world, so I'm only going to be building 3 features: a skinny line, a seesaw, and a drop. These features I think represent the North Shore well and are pretty standard there. Firstly, I'm scouting the area, making a rough outline of the trail with sticks, measuring different places, and I'm planning where the trail should go. This isn't exactly scientific, but it will do for now. Fortunately for me, we store tools up here, so I didn't have to go far to get this rake to start clearing the trail. This didn't take too long because of how loose the pine needles were. However, it wasn't a walk in the park. Now for the painful part, buying materials. This project would be much harder if I were to just use the surrounding trees, so my only choice really is to buy wood from the store. These treated 2x4s will provide the main structure for all 3 features, while treated 4x4s will be used as posts and provide stability while holding most of the weight. I originally planned on using concrete mix to secure the posts in the ground. There were 2 problems with this though. Concrete is extremely heavy and needs lots of water to set. Fortunately, I stumbled upon a product that is way lighter, claims to be just as strong, and doesn't need any water at all. I'm interested to see how it will fare. I can't build what I need without cutting the wood, so that's exactly what I'm doing now. I measure each piece and cut according to a rough plan. The first thing I've decided to build are the skinnies. I'm using one 8-foot 2x4 as the base, and 2 3-foot pieces of 2x4 as posts, fastened with 3.5-inch deck screws. I found this to be lightweight, didn't use much wood, and feels relatively solid. The second thing I've planned on building today is the base for the Teeter-Totter. I started by screwing 2 4x4s together at a 90-degree angle with 6-inch hex bolts. After creating 2 of the supports, I now have to connect them. I used 2 3-foot pieces of 2x4 and some more deck screws. This is how it turned out. We are getting closer to the finished product now. As you can see, the features are coming together. Today I am building the second half of the Teeter-Totter. This time I'm going to be using some random wood we have lying next to our house. This process was rudimentary at best. Now that it's finished, it's time to test it. Making the Teeter-Totter rotate wasn't as hard as expected. I used a steel rod I found in my garage, drilled some holes in both parts of the structure, and finally added some hose clamps to keep the moving part from wiggling too much. This I found to work well, and I'm excited to implement it. Doesn't exactly make trail building any easier. We have to keep going now. Today I need to bring most of the wood up to the trail. This was by far the most time-consuming part of the project. Now that I have most of the wood up here, I need to start digging holes for the posts. I'm starting with a drop. We now need to make sure these posts don't go in the way. We're using this concrete substitute to fill the holes. This process was fairly simple. used this stuff primarily on the drop, but we used the extra on the Teeter-Totter, just to make sure it doesn't move. The sun came out today, which was a nice surprise. I started the day drilling the 8-foot 2x4s into the posts. Then I used a bunch of 20-inch cuts of 2x4 to make the ratting surface of the feature, thus finishing the drop altogether. Now that the drop and Teeter-Totter are done, all we have left is the skinny. I had to dig and fill 2 holes to secure it in place. After waiting for the concrete substitute to harden, I nailed and screwed all of the 7-inch planks to the skinny, thus finishing the last feature.